So we're gonna talk about, that's right, fucking Trump.
Look like they're gonna be screwed.
Hang on a second. We're gonna listen to Bill Maher here in just a second. Let me get his fat face on the screen so I can make a fucking clip of this.
And we haven't even gotten to the corruption.
Yeah, Trump corruption. Oh boy, this is big. Not only that, I'm pretty sure it's legal. That's the rub. Let's listen.
Part of it. You know, I mean, our finances look like they're going to be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
My savings thing went down. His are better than ever. Crypto. And also, like I read today, he's opening, they're going to build, Trump family's going to build a resort in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Obama doing that? Obama's in the resorts business now. No comment from the Republicans. That would have been okay with you guys.
That's the business he did before he was even in.
But he's president now. Of course, you give it up when you...
But he's not involved in his business. Eric runs the resort.
Shut up.
He's done.
Just shut up.
I mean, the thing about it is that this wouldn't be a problem if they hadn't been bitching about fucking Hunter Biden the entire time, which, by the way, I was also bitching about. So, yeah, it's not like it's not like this looks like it's above board at all. Not even a little bit. There needs to be a little bit of maybe investigation involved with this, perhaps. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of that. Let's get some personal accountability going on, please. Pretty please.
It is unfair to criticize if the Trump business that builds resorts still builds resorts.
Fine with resorts if you want to, although it's a very thin skin. No,
it's not.
It's to be fair, that's the thing though. It's like one of the it's different when Hunter goes and becomes like this fucking board member of Burisma when we're involved with all kinds of bullshit in Ukraine, and it's not like he's been a board member of another fucking oil company or any of this stuff. It's not like this is like what he does or what the Biden what their business did. Like if their business is still doing exactly what it did before, but it just happens to be doing it with, close personal friends of the president that he's made while he's been president. It looks kind of fucking sus. I'm not going to lie. It looks very sus. But I understand there is a difference, but she's not wrong when she says it's thin. It's not wrong.
Thin skin. No,
it's not fine.
Crypto stuff is ridiculous and it's corrupt. It's a way to pay the president under the table in ways we do not understand and will not understand.
That is true. That is exactly true. Like you should... Dude, I'm pretty sure there were reports that freaking one of his sons started like this fucking club that cost like a lot of money to join, and they held a party and invited like all of Trump's cabinet and Trump. So if you want to be able to talk to Marco Rubio, for instance, well, all you got to do is pay one of Trump's sons, $1 million or so, and you can join his club, and then guess what? You get invited to the party where Marco is. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that just ever so interesting? Yeah, this is probably the least shady thing the El Presidente is doing, exactly.
And so you shouldn't.
Right, it's a way to pay the... Yes.
It makes it feel like, and I think we'll see in time, a coin-operated president. Like you can give him money and not know it, essentially.
Well, that's kind of what crypto is.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reason they're saying it like this is because essentially, basically Trump made a meme coin. And actually, I could probably ask Grok what's going on with this. But anyway, Trump made a meme coin, and people are able to buy it, right? And his the top 4 owners of his coin get like a private meeting with him and all this other stupid shit. And like the top 10 of them get invited to this big party and all this stuff. So you want to get a meeting with the president, you need to be in the top 4. If you want to go to a party with the president and all the people he fucking rubs elbows with, you need to be in the top 10. So you better get your fucking wallet open, buddy. Coin-operated president. Yeah, it does. It doesn't look good. So let's... Can you explain the Trump coin story? Let's see what it says. I forgot the T. Oh no, Grok. Oh no. I said the wrong thing. Let me edit that. Let me put the T there. Rumpelstiltskin. God help me, dude. Like, of all the things I've searched, Grok, you know how you should notice. Multiple ventures involving Donald Trump and various coins and tokens, primarily categorized as two distinct commemorative physical coins and a cryptocurrency meme coin called Trump. Trump physical coin, that's not what we're talking about. That's just, he's selling stupid ass memorabilia, I guess. Blah, 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 blah. Investment claims. Okay, so this isn't, okay, cryptocurrency. So there's actually controversy over the actual coins themselves. Not legal tender. They're typically sold to supporters as memorabilia. Okay. Okay. Controversies. High prices of these coins, often exceeding the market value of their materials, led to criticism they exploited supporters. I don't give a fuck. If fools want to give their money to Trump, I really don't give a fuck. Experts advise caution, noting that such collectibles rarely hold long-term value to standard gold investments. You should literally fucking know this. You should literally fucking know this. I'm just saying. If you're spending this much money on this shit, you should know this. And if you don't, I got oceanfront property in Idaho I'd like you to take a look at. I'm just saying. Just saying. It's a scam. Yes. Pretty much. But the thing about it is that here's the rub. If you come up with a crypto coin that's a meme coin and you literally say it's a meme coin and people buy it anyway, well, then they're stupid. And that should be illegal. It depends on how you run it. Just as a principle, right? Still a scam though. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that you should not buy meme coins. They are fucking stupid. If you want to buy a meme coin because you think you can get some shit over on somebody, that's a fucking stupidity version of you, and you need to fucking chill the fuck out. Physical coins, speculative, blah, blah, blah. This is a meme trend, and the meme, okay, launch them. So, Trump coin, only official Trump meme and celebrating winning. The coin logo features a cartoon of Donald Trump raising his fist. A total of 1 billion were created, 20 million were released, 800 million were held by 2 Trump affiliates. Tokens are scheduled for a gradual release over 3 years. The coin's price soared. So it is funny that if you bought in at $10, you could have sold, you bought 100 of them, you just made $7,500. That's why people want to do this, by the way. Just in case you're wondering why somebody would buy a fucking stupid ass meme coin, that's why. Late January, it slumped to around 40. So the guy who bought it at 75 lost $35. And it traded, and in April 2025, it traded at 12 to 16, right back down, reflecting volatility typical of meme coins. Key developments, dinner contests. In April 23rd, 2025, the Trump website announced that the top 220 holders of the coin would be invited to a gala dinner. Now, it's not illegal for the president to have parties where he invites his friends or where he can invite anybody he wants. But it is kind of fucked up when you have a product that you can buy and it could essentially guarantee you the ability to rub elbows with the president of the United States. With the top 25 also receiving VIP reception and a tour. Selling access to the president. Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. And the funny thing is, it might be entirely legal. That's the fucked up thing. I don't think our laws actually fucking cover this. I'm not really sure they do. Controversies, Trump's influence. Trump's ownership of 80% of the Trump coin, valued at over $20 billion at peak, raised alarms about conflicts of interest as the president has promised to deregulate the crypto industry, potentially benefiting his own ventures, of course. Ethics expert, blah, blah, blah. The single worst conflict of interest in modern history of the president. Dude, it's always the worst thing ever with fucking Trump, dude. It never fucking stops. They just can't say it straight. They just can't. I mean, is it worse than the conflict of interest that George Washington stole veteran land at the end of the fucking revolution? land that was promised to veterans as payment for the revolution that they fought? Is it worse than the conflict of interest of that he stole millions of acres worth of land from these people? Do I really need to fucking bring the meme back of fucking Lincoln? Do we really need to do this? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like, I understand it's a conflict of interest and it's a big one. But can we please stop? Like, everything is always the worst. Everything. So nothing is bad. It's the same thing with the fantasy shit I was talking about earlier. If everything is super mystical and magical, then nothing is. If everything Trump does is the worst thing ever and fucking worse than Hitler, then it's all meaningless. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a way to make it bombastic without actually providing any actual, like, oh, well, let's break down every conflict of interest in modern presidential history over the past 50 fucking years. To be fair, modern history, so I misspoke when I said George Washington. I apologize. And Abraham Lincoln and all that. So that was me misreading. That's my bad. That's my bad. So. But my point still stands, just not in the same way. Critics argue Trump could violate the U.S. Constitution's emolument clause, allowing foreign governments and entities to anonymously buy tokens. Okay, that is actually really bad. See, I didn't think about that. I did not think about that. Well, it's a good thing crypto is utterly tracked. You can see everybody who buys and owns it, right? Insider trading suspicions. Large trades occurred moments before the coin's launch. After the coin's launch, including 1 million purchased 2 minutes after Trump's announcement, which later yielded $30 million in profit. Suggests possible insider knowledge, though no definite evidence of illegal activity has emerged. While investors, you should, like, I can't believe anybody who bought Trump's coin would be called an investor. That is the most retarded thing you could possibly do. And Trump-affiliated entities, over 800,000 wallets, lost a collective $2 billion in February. You mean a bunch of fucking dumbasses that did something utterly fucking stupid, 800,000 of them, in fact, lost $2 billion. Then yes, I would agree with that. But we need to change this. We need to change this right here to morons who are utterly fucking stupid and greedy. Either through sales at a loss or holding devalued tokens, this led to accusations of a rug pull and predatory scheme. That's all meme coins are. You buy them, you're dumb. I mean, I get the point that you're thinking, oh, I can buy it and then sell it when it's high, but the vast majority of people just keep holding it and it devalues, and then they start to sell it at the devalued rate, and then they lose. So ridiculous. The most brazenly corrupt thing the president has ever done. Okay. The Trump website disclaimed the coin is not an investment or security, aiming to avoid SEC oversight. The SEC has historically not regulated meme coins, but legal experts noted that the dinner contest transforms into a utility coin, potentially inviting scrutiny. I agree. Let's put some fucking SEC scrutiny on this shit and maybe get him to just sell it the fuck off. Because right now, I don't think what he's doing is technically illegal. That's why he's doing it. Right? You got to remember, Trump is a systems exploiter. This is how he got rich. He knows how to exploit systems. And that is exactly what he's doing. This motherfucker knows how many lawyers? How many of them do you think he could write a check to and just be like, you know, help me out on this. Get me to do, let's do this the legal way so I don't get in trouble. You know, this gestures broadly reminds me of the Futurama bit where, well, I know a place where the Constitution doesn't mean squat. Yeah. That's funny. Provides buyers adjoining class action lawsuits. The terms of the ICO prohibited buyers. So they basically signed a waiver saying they can't do class action lawsuits. That's lovely. Crypto insiders criticize Trump for undermining the industry's credibility. Dude, shut the fuck up, dude. How many meme coins have had rug pulls by this point? How many? You could shut the fuck up about your crypto insiders' fucking industry credibility. You can go fuck yourself. Likening it to scams that exploit speculative hype. This is exactly what it is. This is all it is. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is why dumbass motherfuckers buy it, is because they want to exploit the hype. And when you start buying it, it goes up. And then when the hype hits its crest, everybody starts selling. Yeah, the crypto industry has credibility. I know, right? Like this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like the level of hyperbole these motherfuckers use. Crypto insiders in one of the least trusted and credible industries on the planet are being used by the Washington Post. No, that's Wikipedia, excuse me. And MSNBC talking about how robber baron era. Bro, what do you... Like, am I taking crazy pills? This has been going on for years. This has been going on for fucking years. And the Melania and Lorenzo coin are saturating the market and diluting trust. Diluting trust. Gotta love that, dude. Skepticism. Others, including supporters, express frustration as prices fell. You are a fool. You are a fool. A fool. Frustration. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Celebrated the coin, later called it a joke after selling it at a loss. Yeah. Is that Rolling Stone? Is that symbol? Of course. Like, and none, and I bet you it really. Oh, fuck you, Rolling Stone. Okay, there we go. Fast-moving crypto traders issued a warning. Pump it up schemes. Earlier in January, New York regulators issued a warning about pump and up schemes where creators and their associates artificially inflate the price of coins and then sell their own coins rapidly at an inflated price, reaping substantial. So you mean in January, New York regulators were issuing this because, you know, it's happened so many times before, right? Oh my God, dude. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so we really need to get some regulation on this. This needs to... I'm 100%, this needs to stop. Because, like, the whole, you know, buying access to the president, it's like, that's bad. But this, allowing foreign governments or entities to anonymously buy tokens, violating the annulments clause, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. That is really fucking dangerous. Well, here's my thing, Kimmer. If the only... Kermie, excuse me, I apologize. Kermie 5. If all we get out of regulation is something to fucking fix this part, that's at least a fucking start. I'll take it. Because this is bad. You do not want this. This is what I feared about Hillary Clinton's fucking email server. Having classified documents on it, and it was unsecured. This is why I freaked out over it. Because I know how secret stuff works. As someone who was in the United States Navy and who worked on a fucking nuclear missile submarine and fucking maintained and operated a goddamn nuclear power plant. Like, the military takes that shit super fucking serial. Like, the most serial. And for her to do that just blew my fucking mind. And for people to fucking, oh, it's not that bad, blah, 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 blah. It's like, motherfucker, just stop. Not going to happen. Never going to happen. I can hope, right? Because see, here's the thing. The Democrats hate Trump so much, they might actually do something good to fuck with him. That's how the two-party system is supposed to work. But, they're full of fucking idiots and fucking imbeciles with like a few people who are actually smart inside of them. So hopefully they'll get something done. Pete Buttigieg is making himself look real good. Real good. Yeah, so I wanted to touch on this because it's just like, this is something that's I haven't seen a lot of blue team talk about, especially in relation to all the immigration stuff. It's like, look, the president is violating things, and we need to talk about those things and quit fucking fluffing potential MS-13 gang members. Like, yes, they deserve human rights and due process, but you also have to win the argument. And using emotional blackmail because he's brown is not going to fucking work when there is enough evidence to at least tangentially associate him with a terrorist criminal organization. Right? We all understand this, but you're trying to win the hearts and minds of the voters, and you cannot do that. And I will absolutely 100%. Morning Joe the other day did exactly what I just said. They almost completely ignored the human element of Abrego Garcia and all that stupid shit, and they went, let's talk about the fucking court shit. Let's get into it. And they did it in a relatively well-explained way that a Luddite could completely, most likely, understand it. And it was great. So good on them. Yeah, they are too ballless to actually do anything. I don't think it's that. I think it's that they're incompetent and they can't square the circle of trying to be liberals and pushing out the crazy commie progressives inside the party. The Democrats need to do what the Republicans have done, and essentially what the Republicans have done with the Nazis and the fucking actual white supremacists that exist on the right, and they need to do that with the crazy fucking progressives. Not all the progressives, just the really fucking crazy ones, right? They're stupid fucking crazy ones. Because there are people on the right that are completely fine, but they are fucking like radical, want to change the way our fucking entire country works and fucking all kinds of stupid shit, right? But they're not like white supremacist racists, right? So they're allowed in. They just have bad ideas, right? So you can have people with bad ideas in your party, but you might want to kick the commies out. Just saying, you might want to do that. It looks really fucking bad, especially to Cubans. And I just don't think and maybe it is because they don't have the balls, because that's what they'd have to do. So maybe that's right, just on the other foot, as it were. Okay, so I think I kind of wanted to talk about this as well, and then I think we're going to get into some games. Elon Musk on Doge findings. We found people receiving unemployment insurance with a birth date in the future. Okay. He's gone on Fox and talked about this stuff, and they've basically been saying, here's a lot of fraud that happened. My problem with all this is, and there might be a reasonable explanation for this, why is nobody being charged with a crime? Where are the people who are doing this? Who are they? Where did those checks go? Are we currently investigating? Are we not? I would assume that all of this stuff is being turned over to the DOJ, and they're fucking churning through it to see what they can dig it up. And the reason they're not fucking showing any perp walks yet is because building a case that will pass muster in a court takes time. This is why even when someone is charged with murder for something, depending on what happened in the crime scene, it could take a while to get to court. Not even waiting on a spot, but just the fact that the prosecution and the police need time to investigate and build a case, right? So we could be having what's going on is they find all this stuff, they turn it over to the DOJ, the FBI, all of the Department of Homeland Security, and they're investigating it further, finding out where these payments go, who actually collected them, which government employees authorized them, especially when they're talking about how, 20 million dead, marked as alive, blah, blah, blah. There was something they said on the Fox interview there's something they said on the Fox interview where it was like that we were that USAID was giving money, or the government was giving money for alpaca production in Peru or some shit like that, right? But less than 10% of the money that was allocated for that, whether you like that thing or not, only 10% of the money actually made it to the people in Peru for the program. The rest of it stayed in DC. Okay. That was a claim that was made. Here's the question. Who authorized that payment? Who got the money in DC? Why did it go to them? And what did they do with it? And the thing about it is, the reason we might not know this is not because the evidence doesn't exist, is because the DOJ is trying to build criminal charges against these people. Because you got to realize that some of this shit is probably the lightest form of fraud you could possibly commit, which means it might be technically legal. Because if no one's looking and no one's checking, and you write some ambiguous shit on a fucking thing and they give you money for it, is that really illegal? Maybe, right? It depends on how you do it. We all know that bureaucracies can be exploited. We all know that. Maybe there's a reason why we didn't have computer systems and all these things connected via one computer system. It might be because there was people trying to hide fraud, and they knew they'd easily be able to find it if they had an actual computer system that tracked all of it, because it would be easy to track. But it's not easy to track when you've got 3 different departments with 3 different computer systems, and all of it has to be done with physical paperwork. It's a lot harder to track. Especially when one person's like package is like this fucking big. I think the evidence is in the same place where Michael Lindell's evidence about election fraud. Fair enough, because they're not producing any of it, so fair. But you got to remember. Let me please like this. There is a universe where they're just basically bullshitting, right? And they're lying, and there is no evidence. That's what this would look like. They would come out and say all this bullshit, right? And then there'd be no evidence. And then there's the universe where where they're actually telling the truth, right? There is definitely fraud. Yeah. But then there's the universe where Elon Musk and Big Balls and the rest of his Doge team are all telling the truth. And the reason there's no evidence is because the DOJ is still churning over the evidence. You got to get all the lawyers and police officers and forensic dudes. And, there's all kinds of shit you got to do, especially when it concerns white collar crime. It's not just some one detective like putting stuff on a corkboard. Like, you've got dozens of people working on these cases, most likely. And the reason they haven't released anything is because the investigations are still ongoing. And if they release names or departments or anything like that, it'll tip off the people that are probably going to be charged, and they're going to fucking abscond. Right? So in both of those universes, it looks exactly like this does. That's the thing you got to remember. In both universes, the one where he's lying and the one where he's not, it should look just like this. Now, to be fair, in the universe that he's lying, I think he would have a lot less direct numbers. Like, you wouldn't be able to call out, oh, in the retirement process, it's this. And in this department, we found this, and this. And, oh, they didn't have computers and all this stuff. It'd be way more ambiguous, right? It'd be way more ambiguous. Now, because he's a tech bro and fucking a lot of his, Big Balls and his boys are fucking like computer nerds, maybe they know that. And that's why they have numbers and departments and things like that they do describe. And they're using that as like a smokescreen for the fact that they're doing whatever the fuck it is they're doing that they're not supposed to be, that they shouldn't be doing, or that they're committing fraud on the government and us, right? So in both of those universes, it should look exactly like this. In some form or not exactly like this. It should look somewhat like this. Because if we were doing that, like imagine tomorrow they came out and they said, we're charging this person for this crime. Well, not everybody else, it's like the 20 to 500 people that might also be involved in that crime just bought tickets to Peru. Right? So, I'm going to bet the side where 99% of Joe spools out his hyperbole and exaggerate. Well, of course, some of it is hyperbole, but I wouldn't put it at 99%. I'm at 50-50 at this point because it really depends on what happens. Like I said, in both universes, the reason you can't be sure is because in both universes, this is what it would look like. Musk can just imagine up the numbers. True. Nobody who listens to him will ever believe that he made it up. I'd say that's somewhat true. No matter how much evidence you'll produce that he made shit up. There's definitely there's definitely a number of his supporters, a good portion of them that would absolutely be that way. 100%. True. But again, my whole point is, which universe do we live in? You can't know yet. You don't know. And then the funny thing is, it's more likely in between, where he is using a lot of hyperbole. They're bringing up a lot of ancillary examples that aren't really a thing. They didn't find as much as they thought they would because it was all legal, right? It's not actually fraud. It was all legal, but it is really fucked up what they're doing. And so there's no reason to bring out perp walks and shit because you can't charge them with anything. So Maybe they're making a fucking giant chart and naming all the names of all the people who blew all your fucking money, but it was completely legal, so we can't charge them with anything. Maybe that'll get the electorate upset. And then and like I said, maybe it's probably more 50-50 where he is exaggerating. There are examples, but a lot of it was legal. The part that isn't illegal is being sent to the DOJ, which they literally said in the interview that whenever they find this stuff, they send it to the DOJ immediately, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And then they're taking care of that. And that's why we hadn't had any of that, is because they're still doing an investigation and they don't want to give it up. Right. Still insisting the 2020 election was rigged and there's hard evidence. But yes, I know that doesn't disprove anything I've just said. I agreed with you. There is a portion of people who support Elon Musk that will believe him no matter what. Even if he's lying straight to their face. Even if you're holding up evidence that he's a lying sack of shit, they'll always believe him no matter what. Or they'll believe it's not true. Because yes, there are people still insisting that the 2020 election was rigged. There are. I do think there was funny business, but I think there's funny business going on in every election. Why do you think when election security became such a big deal that neither party fixed it? Because it would be a good thing for the Democrats to fix election security because it shows that they actually care. Oh, you think there was fraud? Well, let's make a system where we can't commit fraud. And then next time when you fucking lose, you won't be able to say this. Because that's what you would do if you actually cared about election integrity. And on the right, if you cared about election integrity to the point where your candidate lost and you want to get it fixed, then you would be pushing for shit to fix it, wouldn't you? They didn't do any of that, did they? So who really rigged the system? Well, the answer is they both did. Because it benefits both parties to have rigged systems where they have their strongholds. And it's basically whoever can cheat the best in the most legal way they can. So, but what you mean is that they think that Trump lost because they fixed the election so Biden would win. That's essentially what it boils down to. And yeah, that's fucking retarded. Essentially. I don't think it's impossible, but we don't actually have any like actual hard evidence that there were enough shenanigans to change the entire election. It's really hard to create an election system where there's no funny business at all, but the funny business is pretty much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. That's not true. That's not true at all, especially because of swing states. Okay, but you do have a point where it's hard to create a system with no funny business at all. But there is a great way, but you can create a system where funny business has so much friction that it's almost impossible to do and get away with. That's what you want. You want to create so much friction that only the most dedicated assholes would do it, and because only they would do it, they're more likely to get caught. Because they'd have to overcome so much to get to that point. The problems are structural. Some of the problems are structural. Yes, I agree. I don't know overly much about the voting system, so I'm not gonna sit here and pontificate endlessly about gerrymandering, voter registration stuff. Yeah, exactly. You're right. 100% right on that. That's true. I'm a big fan of voter ID, but that's because it basically sums up to like this. Before we had mass immigration to the country and a giant welfare state that would draw people here simply because we have a giant welfare state, I was okay with not having ID to vote. I would have been okay with that, right? Because yeah, you're going to have a lot of immigrants come, but they're going to go out west and build some fucking log cabin out in the woods, most likely, right? Or sit on the ancillary part of civilization and build it up. That's what they were doing. That's not what the poor and the blah 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 on the Statue of Liberty are doing here today, right? We have a giant welfare system. Many of them are using it and abusing it. Many of them are coming here claiming asylum when they're full of shit. They're abusing our systems, and I don't like it. I want voter ID. Simple as. I know it will cause problems, and I don't give a fuck if it causes problems. If you're too stupid to get a fucking government ID, that's not my fucking problem. That's your fucking problem. Are you too stupid to get a driver's license to drive? Are you too stupid to get your fucking car registered to fucking drive? Well, then you shouldn't be fucking driving. 4 people in Ohio were actually living in Oklahoma is entirely meaningless. No, it's not. It's not meaningless. It's absolutely not. Because if you have enough of that and if you say it's meaningless, then the next time it'll be 50. And then you continue to say it's meaningless, the next time it'll be 100. Right? That's the thing. It's not meaningless. It's just not statistically meaningful. There's a difference. Okay? So these things are not meaningful in the grand scale, but that doesn't mean they're meaningless. Because you got to remember, dude, how many congressional seats are literally won by like 5 or 10 seats? Right? How many of these local elections are won by 2 or 3 votes? A lot of them. And where I was in Spring Hill, Tennessee, it was won by 10 votes for mayor and for school superintendent. Both of them, 10 votes. So 4 people in Ohio were actually living in Oklahoma. They changed the election in Ohio, potentially, for local and state representation. That's bad. That's bad. And we should fix that. But those are not systematic problems, really. That misses the point of what I'm saying. And they are simple to fix afterwards. But the point is you want to buttress the system so it doesn't happen in the first place. That's all I'm trying to get at, dude. And this is one of the reasons I'm in favor of things like voter ID. I want to make it as secure as possible. And again, you need ID for fucking everything. So I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it. Cause all the most vulnerable people that they talk about, most of them are on fucking like some kind of welfare system. You need an ID to get fucking welfare, dude. Of any kind. For me to get my fucking stuff from the government because I'm a disabled veteran requires an ID. I have to prove who I am. Like I had to provide all kinds of documentation, including my military records. Because of course. And I know these are different things. We're talking about a right guaranteed under the Constitution to be able to vote versus, you know, all the stupid shit that I've been talking about. So there is a difference. There is a difference. I understand that. The point that I'm making is that we have a gigantic welfare state that draws people here who abuse our system, will abuse our welfare state, and abuse our amnesty system. Not our amnesty system, but abuse our asylum system to get these things, to get things from us, to take advantage of us. And I want that to be put to a stop. And you better damn well believe that there are people who will use that to take advantage of our voting system. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. We need to stop it. It needs to be not happening at all, period. We don't need for a big fucking thing to blow up in our faces for us to fix it now. Can't be done, really. That stuff happened here too. Practically everyone is eligible to vote automatically and stuff still gets counted wrong in every election. Like, bro. If the system has bugs in it, you fix the bugs. If a game has an exploit in it, you fix the exploit. You patch it. It's that easy. It's literally that easy. Yes, there are human errors. I understand that. This is why I want a better system. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, because they're run by humans. I understand that. Like, okay. Anyway, so it's funny because we were talking about this and they started talking about how people still believe in the fucking election being rigged, and they absolutely do. And so you are absolutely right that it doesn't matter if Elon Musk is lying, they will still fucking believe him. And they will still support him no matter what. Just like they will Trump. But that's not everybody. Everybody who supports him right now will not support him if it turns out he's actually lying and all the stuff that he said was fake. That will not happen. I will be extremely angry to the point where I would want to throw him in jail and take away all of his toys. All of it. Destroy it all. Burn it to the fucking ground. Scorched fucking earth. If he is lying and he is making all this shit up, that's what I want to happen to him. Yes, you should make it more difficult to exploit systematically. Thank you. That's my whole fucking point. And the system is already difficult to manipulate en masse. Exactly. And one of the reasons it's difficult to manipulate en masse is because of the county system. The problem is with that is swing states exist, right? And a swing state means that you could have a 10,000 vote difference that decides the presidency for the entire nation. So if you have voting rigged in one specific place that has a large enough amount of population of a state, of all the counties, and you actually rig the votes there, you could potentially change the presidential election. It would require extreme amounts of finesse, and yes, it would require conspiracy, but you could potentially do it. Now, you'd most likely get caught, which is why people don't do it so overtly, obviously. But that's what I'm saying. It's difficult to manipulate en masse unless you can, like imagine it like this. You have a scenario where you know you're going to win a set amount of swing states, and you know your opponent is going to win a set amount of swing states. There's only one real swing state that's really in contention, and whoever wins it gets the presidency. This thing has happened before. Now, it's really hard to see in the moment, so it's not likely to ever happen. I'm really making up a scenario here that's almost impossible, but not entirely. Right? And that's the kind of thing I'm saying is I'm basing it on a principle rather than a thing that has or will happen. And so if you ever have this edge case where there's only one real state that's doing it, and it's a state that has one of these where basically almost all the population is in one gigantic fucking city center in the middle, and the rest of the population around it is basically way rural, like farmland and stuff, so there's a lot less people, then basically the city will decide the president. Right, the entire cityscape, they'll decide the president. Most of them vote blue, right? So you could easily make it to where you could have voter suppression in that state, to where you could not count as many votes for the rural stuff, even though the main population will still outvote them. There's a lot of ways to manipulate that system to create desired effects, and a lot of it is very subtle, right? Like, you know, pipes burst inside the building where the fucking voting is happening, so we got to come back later. Right, and then you've only got 2 hours to vote, and there's people have been waiting for hours. And what do you think that's gonna do? Reminds me of the one movie where one man was the last to vote and had to decide before he was the tiebreaker. Yeah, the U.S. election system is pretty wild, but the actual vote counting bit is really robust. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. We have political watchers from both parties watching the vote counting. Most of the counters are either politically neutral or they'll have a similar split between the two. Yeah, you're right. For the vast majority of it, it is straight edge as possible. And the reason it should be that way is because that leaves little doubt. So you can't have people like the fucking Trump-olophicus screaming that the election was rigged if you make it secure. But a lot of the insecurities in the system also involve voting machines that have been shown to relatively be easily hacked, or they have their firewalls can be bypassed easily, or they actually do connect to like machines on Wi-Fi networks or outside their normal network and stuff like that. That brings doubt to the system, which gives credibility to the rigged notion. So if you don't want those accusations and you want to be able to prove that they can't happen, it needs to be that way. Which is why I waffle on the paper ballot thing. I do. Because electronic voting machines are one of those things where it's like, it sounds really cool, but it leads to a whole nother problem with the system, in that there is a hidden door where all the votes go, and then they come out the other side, and we don't know what's behind that door. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about the programming code that the voting machines use to do all their stupid shit. These are proprietary properties of people that make the voting machines. So I don't think the government, nor we as the population, have access to know how all their internal bullshit works in there. But again, I'm not a super expert or anything, so I wouldn't know. Without massive election reform, and nobody wants to do that. The problem is not the swing state. The problem is the scenario where you have a singular swing state, and if you're able to not rig, but manipulate the vote in such a way that it moves the needle 1 or 2%, that's 20, 30,000 votes, right? And that could decide an election easily. So it's a very narrow scenario that's not likely to ever happen. But if it ever does, we need to have a system that could deal with it before it ever happens. That's the point. You want to come up with scenarios where you may have problems and then fix those problems before they ever show their face. And then here's the thing. It's like, imagine if you built a voting system from the ground up today. Would it look like the voting system that we have? Some of it would, yes. Some of it would not. And on that note,